Hey, what's up, y'all? Thanks so much for tuning in and checking out another wonderful episode of SOB Style of Business, the podcast. This is your host, Keetra, and today we have another awesome guest who is going to be helping us, think about our mindset. And not only that, she is a top producing realtor. She's going to tell you a little bit about her journey, and we're going to learn a little bit more about Miss Kirstine Openshaw, who is the owner of the Openshaw Realty Group. And yeah, just a lot of exciting things coming up in this podcast episode. So make sure that you tune in. You definitely don't want to miss this. And while we go ahead and get this thing started, Kirstine, go ahead and drop that introduction, give us a little background, and we will keep the ball rolling forward from there.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Yes. So, Keetra, I'm up here in Fort Worth in Weatherford, Texas, and I've been doing real estate since like 2016-ish. And it's just been a crazy ride, and our story has definitely had its peaks and valleys. And so the running theme of it is just mindset. Like, it has been such an opportunity to really kind of sink into the lows if I'd have chosen to. And instead, we were like, nope, we're going to make this work. Yeah. And we've just been pretty much every single year we've been top producer, even through the struggles, even through the stuff that we've had hit us through life. And I feel really passionate on my quest of sharing my story, just to make sure that other, not just realtors, but other business owners, other entrepreneurs, they can gain some hope from that and realize, like, even when, it hits the fan and it seems like nothing is going right, that they can really see that you can just make the choice and you can gain some good progress through that. Like, those trials and tribulations, those struggles, those bad things that happen, they can really use them as a step to level up. Or they can go like the mediocre average people that just go, oh, yeah, this is exactly why I'm stuck where I'm at. This is exactly why it's not going to work for me.
Exactly. Yeah. And I love that we're discussing this. And I'm really excited about the topic because it's one of the things that I've really been digging into practice this year. Well, even before that, but for sure, definitely this year is just making sure that I am cultivating that discipline of having the right mindset when it comes to anything that I'm doing. So
yes,
yeah. So let's talk
it's
about
even
it.
In the littlest things, like your diet choices, like even the little things that we're like, this is not a big, life changing, life altering choice right now. It matters because you're just training your brain to be wired that way and to train your thoughts that way. Because when you talk to people, so many people are like, you'll hear the expression like, oh, my mind was made up, their mind was made up. Everybody's kind of just rolling through life acting like they are their mind. We are not our minds. Right. We are so much stronger than that. We're so much more capable than that. And I really, really wish more people understood that we can make our minds work for us, and incredible things can happen. Like, truly incredible things. When I tell people our story, and, I've always been very open on social media with it because I've always wanted to give people hope through it. When I've shared parts of our story that we weren't massively public with because they were really, kind of nitty gritty and crazy, they're astonished. They're like, I don't know how you didn't fall into depression. I don't know how you kept the business going and how you kept dealing with clients in that time and so on, because their mind that is controlling them instead of the other way around is telling them, oh, you could never do that. And that limiting belief is keeping them stuck.
Exactly. Yeah. And that is, even, I know we are specifically kind of talking about business owners and entrepreneurs, but just the day-to-day life of men and women who, kind of find themselves stuck in that same negative narrative, that same dialogue, the same victim mentality. Let's talk a little bit about, because I know that we weren't always like this, right? We were having the positive mindset, but let's kind of dig a little bit in the past and not really fully dig it up, but just more so talk about a few things that you kind of put into place, or even, hey, what was that aha moment to where you was like, you know what, I got to stop, talking about what's not working and focus on what is.
I think it's been like after the last couple of years, our 6-year-old, he's about to become 7 years old, and he's a big part of our why and our motivation for realizing we need to change. He was born with a lot of health issues. He was born with half a heart. We lived in the hospital for the first 5 months. He coded on his 2-month birthday, meaning, his heart stopped. We had a lot of reasons to sink down and do the woe is me. And somewhere in, and I say somewhere in because there were so many ahas of realizing the importance of this and not delving into the dark corners of that kind of life and all the things that were thrown at us and falling into the why me trap. So I don't know that I necessarily had just one. There was one moment where I realized that, you have to stand up for yourself. You have to stand up for your gut instinct. And I think a lot comes back to that moment where I take a lot of power from that in realizing, like, no, I have to stand up for myself. I have to make sure that I'm controlling my life. I'm controlling the direction. And honestly, that was when he coded. That was when I was in the hospital room on my own with him because my husband was driving to the hospital at that point to come and see us before he went into work. And he coded. His heart stopped. And I had been telling the nurses all night long, something is wrong. My gut is telling me something is wrong. And they kept saying, hey, Mom, you're just a paranoid first-time mama. It's fine. Everything's fine. This is what we do. You just got to stop worrying. And I was like, nope, something's wrong. And the doctor was walking past his hospital room. He made eye contact with me. And I guess my expression said enough because he paused and he went, do you need me? And I said, yes. And the second he stepped over the threshold into my son's room, my son's heart stopped and his monitors went crazy. And I think a lot of my drive to be better and to think better and to make sure that I am never limiting myself comes back to that because I listened to them. I was like, okay, maybe I'm being paranoid. Maybe nothing's wrong. And then that happened. Maybe if I'd have had the self-confidence at that point and that control over my own mind to not dive into my limiting beliefs, maybe then that wouldn't have happened. I don't know. We'll never know, right? Hindsight's 2020. However, that was definitely part of a big shift in the control I had over my life. I did not have positive speaking when I was growing up. My parents had a horrible relationship, really should have gotten divorced when I was around 12 years old. I was presented with a contract at 12 years old to sign by my dad to say, who are you going to live with? You need to sign this right now to say you'll always live with me. And I was like, wait, what? No, I'm not going to do this. I mean, our relationship and our family environment was not, sunshine and roses and unicorns bouncing around in the flowers. Like that's not how I grew up. And so it was a very negative, toxic, nitpicky, everything's everybody else's fault household. And so when we had that moment with Lincoln and when I started realizing like, hey, the business is going well, like this is all a choice, because everybody's like, well, how are you going to do the business from the hospital? How are you going to do this? And I was like, listen, I'm just going to figure it out. I'm just going to do it. I'm not giving myself another option. I'm not giving myself the option to quit. And I think so many entrepreneurs are in that where they're like, it's this or nothing. Or they're on the flip side and they're keeping one foot out the door. We had a show when I was growing up called One Foot in the Grave. It was this grumpy old man. And that expression, the name of that show, always comes to mind when people are like, well, my husband works and he's got a great income. So real estate is just like my side gig. That just isn't going to cut it. You've got to be all in, if not for anybody else, at least for yourself. You have to be all in for yourself so you can believe yourself that you are going to make this work. You are going to do this thing, whatever their business is. Because I just feel like so many people, even might not even realize they're not all in. And I think the reason they're not in is because they don't believe in themselves. Well, why don't they believe in themselves? Like no one's going to do this for you. No one's going to believe in you for you. You have to make the choice to say, you know what? I'm good enough. I deserve this. I'm okay to have success in my life because so many of us just don't think we deserve it. And we don't have the right money view or we don't have the right perspectives on life. And we automatically keep ourselves stuck because of that. And we don't even know it's happening.
Man, Kirstine, you have dropped some gems. You have dropped gem after gem. Okay, first let's get on this. The fact that you said, half of us one foot in, one foot out. And it resonates with me because in the past I was definitely one foot in, one foot out, to where you're scared and you need that safety net, and it's all of the what ifs and, oh, I don't know, or the money is not flowing, the way that I want it right now, in my side hustle and all this other stuff. But man, when you think about what you just said, like, you have to be dedicated to doing this for you. That's what I've really come to realize that is where the power is, and making a decision to be 100% all in, and then things will start coming together for you.
They really will. They really will. And somewhere in our society, we were taught that to be selfish is this horrible, dirty, disgusting word.
Yeah.
But how in the world are you going to be there to support a family and your spouse and other people and your elderly parents and, donate to charities, do all the things that you are supposed to do? How are you going to do any of that if you're not selfish at some level? If you're not looking after yourself, you're burning yourself out. If you're not all in, you're not making the kind of money. Okay, maybe you don't, maybe the money view is, I don't need to earn that much. Okay, so don't keep that much. If you earn $1 million this year, but you only need $300,000 to live off of, well, you get to go make a $700,000 donation to as many places as you want. Why don't they deserve that from you if you are capable of it?
Yeah. And the funny thing about all of it is, we won't be like, we get, it gets kind of, it's I don't know how to explain it. It's one of those weird things to where, when you talk about being all in for yourself, a lot of people will not choose themselves, but they'll be 100% in for a corporation or a business, only because
yes,
they're getting a steady paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I know that it's like the typical, it's what we grew up with. It's been that way for decades, but it would be good to, for everybody to, like, understand, like, just using your own creative power, or just stepping into alignment with your intuition and guiding you to do what it is that your heart truly desires for you to do in this lifetime. Like, that's worth so much more than money.
Oh, 100%. And the thing is, there's nothing wrong with, if you try the entrepreneurial lifestyle and you don't like it, that's okay. Go and at least work with a company that's for a mission that you align with, that you agree with, right? Because it's not for everybody, and that's okay. Life changes might happen that are conditional, that you just can't, positive think your way out of, and that's okay. But be aware of it, and don't beat yourself up on it and label yourself a failure and give yourself these limiting beliefs that you didn't do it right. Look at it in a way of, okay, if I need to work for somebody else right now because of whatever reason, at least pick the company that works with your alignment. It works with a mission that you're passionate about, that is doing some good, because at least then you're still going to gain that fulfillment from it. It doesn't have to be that you're just 1099 and SOL if your company doesn't do good monetarily wise, or the economy or something else shuts you down that's out of your control. But don't just give up and go, well, this is just my sad life right now. Like, this is all I've got. Like, you can still do things. You can still make a difference and live the life that you're supposed to live, and at least work towards your calling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and speaking of calling, I know that real estate, that's something that you are currently involved in, as far as overseeing your own business. But that's one of the industries that's not, it's not easy peasy. It has its own challenges. It could be one of those things. Let's talk about that a bit.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, this industry is, wow. Like, we have a couple million realtors in the U.S. We have an 80%, or it might even be a little more than that now, fail rate within the first 2 years of people getting their license. So 80% of the new agents that get licensed are not here in 2 years' time. And just last year, the market was kind of down. We still had a pretty decent year. We still had some great income. We never, we felt it in that it wasn't just a crazy abundant year, but we still had great success with our numbers and how many people we were able to help. However, there was a NAR study, a National Association of Realtors, 74, I think it was, % of realtors did not sell a single house last year. And that's an astounding amount of people in one industry. I don't know if there's another industry where 74% of the industry made zero money.
Goodness gracious.
I mean, that's not exactly an effective business model, right? So it's definitely not easy peasy. It's definitely not for everyone. It's an industry I love. It's always changing. It's always competitive. There's always stuff going on. And ultimately it's fascinating because all I do all day, every day is just figure out how I can help somebody make their goal or their dream or their must do happen in a way that I am 100% convinced I'm the best person to help them. And if I'm not, I will see about helping them find the right person, because I'm obviously not fit for everybody. However, it is fascinating to hear the goals. Like, I just spoke to a gentleman today that I'm meeting with him Saturday to discuss getting his home sold. Him and his wife, he's going to retire in a couple years. All they want to do is go on a minimum of 4 cruises a year. They want to go on 4 vacations a year together to spend quality time with each other. And I get to be a part of that. Like, that is really cool. It's not just about taking the pretty pictures or showing the pretty houses or putting the sign up or my face, like my face is not on any of my signs or any of that. It's not about that.
Yeah.
It is just getting to be a part of that. And moving is stressful. Like, moving is horrible. Packing up your life and it's horrible. However, I get to be a part of it to help make it so much easier for my clients. And I love that part of it. And of course, the sky's the limit. You know, real estate is such a lucrative industry if you're in it for the right reasons of truly helping people make their goals happen.
Exactly. Yeah, and I was just about to ask you, like, what sets you apart from other realtors, but I mean, obviously, the passion and the interest that you have in somebody's why or somebody's, what it is that they're actually trying to accomplish. Because you do have people who are in the industry solely for the money,
Oh, 100%. You know, and realtors as a whole, I'm sure, like several other industries, realtors as a whole, they get a very like used car salesman reception from people. Like, we're not very well received when we call people, because so many realtors are in it just for the money. And they're not taking the time to learn about the client or potential client. They're not taking time to learn the skill set. And that's something that I've been rolling out for this year, is more coaching, not just for real estate agents, but really any entrepreneur in sales industry, to help them really spend the time and invest in themselves to figure out, how do we even talk to people? How do we talk to people and let them know that we are here to help? We're not here predatorial. We're not here just to siphon money from them, because that is a real problem with perception of realtors. And when I have someone on the other end of the phone, because I do a lot of expired, so listings that did not sell the first time, and I come in and I help them reframe and resell it the right way. And I get a lot of reception from homeowners that are like, oh my gosh, not another realtor. You realtors need to stop calling. And you know my response? Ugh, I get it. I get it. I work with them. I hate it. I'm sorry you have to deal with it, because I have to deal with it every day. I get it. Like, I jump right in there with them, because I do get it. I have to work with people that they have a full-time job, but yet they call themselves an agent, and they'll take a listing, and then you can't call them unless it's 8:00 at night. And then they don't want to talk because they're busy and their life's busy and they're putting kids to bed. But yet you've got a seller's $500,000 asset in your control, and they're not all in. And so I totally understand that perception for the public. And it does make it harder on the good agents like me, because we're up against that. But it's also just fascinating, and that helps with the drive, and it helps go, okay, this is why I need to do more. I need to do better and learn better skills and learn more about how people tick, how people work. Because if you would know that, you can connect with them better. And if you know how to connect with them better, you can do a better job.
Exactly. Yeah, no, and I love that you are actually offering, resources and, coaching to help people better understand the industry. You want to talk a little bit about, some of the services, as far as, just kind of helping people understand like the lingo and how to go through the process?
Yeah, I mean, if it's another agent that's listening to this when you roll this podcast out, I've got courses available. I do one-on-one coaching with agents, where I'm just here to help them strategize, like, where are the holes in their business? Where are the holes in their skill set? Because nobody knows all of it, right? It's not to say that you're not doing a good job in certain areas. I was a multiple 6-figure agent year on year before I realized the massive gaping holes in my skill set, and I learned to address it and learn to improve it. So I'm just passing that gift on to others so they can do the same. So I do, like I say, we do group coaching one-on-one. I have coaching classes that they can purchase. And it applies to all entrepreneurs. It really does. Anybody that's in a business where you have clients, which is most businesses on this planet, this stuff works because it's not just sales. So much of it keeps coming down to our own mindset. How are we getting in our own way? How are we limiting ourselves? How is our beliefs that sometimes we don't even have any idea we have, right? And we just need a little bit of a nudge in the right direction to do some reflection and to find those issues. And then how do we fix it, right? It's all well and good saying, okay, so my limiting beliefs are XYZ. I've got a whole, like the CVS receipt list of all these limiting, self-deprecating beliefs I have. Now what? Well, I help them figure that now what part out. I help them figure out, how do you rewire yourself? How do you make your mind work for you? Because our mind is not our friend, and we have to figure out how to control it.
Yeah.
So I have a whole system for helping them recalibrate, basically, and be able to just become aware, because awareness is the first step. If we're running through life going, nothing's wrong with me, I'm good, it's everybody else's fault, that's not good for anybody. Right? And eventually we get burned out. Eventually we can't go anymore, or we change industries because it's the industry's fault and all this, when it's not. A lot of times when you look at people, that expression, hurt people, it's the same thing in business. Burned out people are burned out because everything's everybody else's fault, and they just haven't looked within to figure out how to change things. Because work and money, they're not connected. A lot of people have been taught, well, I got to work more so I can earn more money. And that's just simply not true. You just got to work smarter instead of harder. You got to do the right things. Make the system work for you. I can't tell you how many times I will just have a person call me out of the blue. Hey, I was just surfing on the internet, or I drove through a town, I saw your sign somewhere, or whatever it might be. I just need you to come over and look at my house so you can list it and sell it. And I'm like, okay. And you got to accept that. Right? There was a time where I was like, oh no, I got to do like full presentation. I got to do all this stuff. I got to earn this business, right? Because that's what we're taught that we need to do. And as soon as I started accepting that I'm doing the work, where this is just being attracted to me and my brain is problem solving for me instead of problem finding for me, business just starts coming. And I had to reframe it myself that, hey, this is too easy. This feels wrong. This feels too easy. I had to retrain myself to stop getting in my own way. And I just think there's a lot of people that get into that and they don't even realize they're doing it to themselves. So that's a huge part of what I teach. It's a huge part of what I help other agents do. And not only that, we also have some add-ons of like the skill set, because a lot of it is skill set. Once you feel confident in your skill set, everything else can start to slot into place. So I do a lot of language training to help people understand, like, how do we even talk to potential clients? How do we help them understand that it's our intention to get them exactly what they want, and to strategize that with them and create that game plan that works for them? Because just in the real estate industry, not everybody wants to sell fast. Some people, that's terrifying. Some people, they want to have the most amount of money and they're okay if it takes a long time. Some people just want a no-stress sale because they're doing it because a family member passed and they don't want to be in the house anymore. It's heartbreaking to be in the house, or whatever it might be. So you can't come at it with a one-size-fits-all and go, well, this is my presentation and you need to sit here and you need to listen to it and you're an idiot if you don't sign with me. That's not going to work.
Yeah. No, it definitely isn't. And you know what? And as you told that story, the word of the year that you shared with me earlier, and I hope you don't mind me saying this.
No, of course.
Is simplicity. Like it, when you told that story of, just feeling, oh man, this is too easy, stuff just started flowing to me. I just got the image of you kind of being in a space of like allowing versus trying to be forceful and practical. And
massively.
Yeah,
And that's so much of it. Like, if we just don't realize how much we're saying no to opportunities because it's not happening the way we think it should happen. And so much of that isn't even our own fault. I was reading a book one time and they talked about BS rules.
Yeah.
And it's literally rules that we've inherited. And that affects everything from our money view, like, hey, we shouldn't earn too much because it's greedy. Money is the root of all evil. And then you've inherited this belief and you don't even realize it's stopping you from allowing yourself to make money for you and your family. And, these beliefs are everything. Like, well, I was born here. This is what the culture is. This is what the religion is. This is what I'm supposed to do. This is how marriage is supposed to look. This is how the structure of our family is supposed to look. Like, so much of that just comes from these BS rules that we've inherited.
Yeah.
My husband and I had this great conversation a year or so ago about the food on our plates, which sounds so simple, but he grew up with a very different family format to mine. There was 4 kids and both their parents. There was just 3 of us kids in my family. So there was a few more of them. They were self-employed. My dad had wonderful jobs, so money was not an issue in our household. They were a little tighter. When he has food left over on a plate, he has to eat it. He cannot leave food on his plate. And when we started digging into these BS rules, I said to him, do you think you have one of these BS rules about food going to waste? And we dug into it and we discussed it and we kind of analyzed it. And he goes, you know what, I think so. Because growing up, it was very much like, hey, we've made this meal and we can't let it go to waste because we don't have the money to let it go to waste. Whereas I didn't have that. So I never clear my plate. And I always had a different view of it of like, God, you're being so greedy eating everything. We didn't even realize we had these differing views on this. And it's something so little, but it's an inherited belief. It's something that when you don't question, these things compound. And all of a sudden you're fighting about who did laundry just because it's like feeding into all these other ridiculous BS rules that you're carrying around with you and they're taking up space. And when they take up space, you're not giving space for other things to come to you and happen for you.
Wow. Look, amazing. You have shared some wonderful insights, Kirstine. And you definitely let's talk about I know you're working on this and you're taking one step at a time. But let's talk about your upcoming podcast and some of the things that you're going to feature and cover, because I'd love for people to head your direction once that's fully in swing.
Yeah, I'm super excited about it. It's definitely something that, the more conversations I have with, wonderful people like you, and I massively appreciate you giving me the time to share as well, because the more I do it, the more people I realize it can impact. And it's selfish for me because I love sharing. I love knowing that people can gain some hope and insight from it. And the more platforms we get on, the better. So that was part of my passion, my quest for starting my podcast as well, of just, I want to share a little bit of everything because everything contributes, right? Everything's part of the puzzle that we call life. And so much of this, we don't have people to help anymore. And I'm calling my podcast Cuppa with K because, of course, I'm English. So I live with a cup of tea in my hand. And life is always better with a good cup of tea, and you have to put the milk in last in case anybody's wondering. And so, my goal with the podcast is to create that virtual village because we don't have the village anymore. Social media is amazing. The connections we can create, like you and I connecting through social media platforms, it's amazing, right? It's opening up opportunities we'd never have. However, because it's so available, we're missing out on this valuable one-on-one family, friends, setting the world to rights time. And so my vision for my podcast is to create that virtual village, that virtual couch where we can come together and just talk about all things in life, because your business affects your life. Your regular life affects your business. I have my 2 boys and they take it in turns to test me on how little sleep I can survive on. And I'm telling you, when I find their little tally chart of who's winning, we're going to have a discussion about it because I swear they take it in turns. They send mind messages to each other and go, hey, I woke up at 3 yesterday. It's your turn. So let's go. So, I just want to have a space that's available to talk about everything. Our parenting journey is very different to most, and our oldest, our journey with him is very different to most. So we feel like we're learning all new, even though we're second-time parents. My 3-year-old, it's a totally different experience with him. He has no health issues. This is very alien to us, right? To not be checking his O2 levels and watching for him to have heart palpitations. And he's literally outside mowing with my husband. There is no way on this planet I would have been able to handle my 6-year-old doing that. So my podcast is just aims to be a space for everybody to come together, no matter what industry they're in. just to figure out all these nuances of life and how we can reframe it, how we can look at things through a different lens and just gain more awareness, not just for ourselves, also for other people, because we got to learn more acceptance in this world. We got to learn to meet people where they're at. We got to remember everybody is doing the best they can. Just because we, the metaphorical we or that person has decided, well, their effort sucks and I don't like what they're doing and what they're saying, we still got to remember everybody's doing the best they can. Even criminals did the best they can with the options they thought they had, right? It's not for us to judge. We just got to do the best we can in acceptance. If not for us, just for our kids to see, for our friends to see, and just kind of put more of that out into the world, because the opposite is not going to help anybody. It's not doing anybody any good being judgy and negative.
I totally agree. And this has been an absolutely amazing interview. We definitely have to have you back for a part 2 in the future.
I would love that. I feel like I would love it.
Yeah, and I there's a couple other things, but we can continue another time. But before you wrap up, you've already dropped a lot of good advice, a lot of inspirational words of encouragement. Leave us with one more piece, if you will, just a piece of the best advice that you've ever received, or maybe some advice that you could give somebody that's listening right now.
I think to really, really reiterate the power that we have no idea about. Every single one of us is here for a purpose, and it doesn't have to be some crazy glam, I'm going to earn multiple 7 figures. It might be that you're going to, help a charity. It might be anything. It might be that you're going to volunteer at your kid's school or volunteer at the local homeless shelter. Everybody's purpose for being here is different. And the key is just to remember that you are enough. You can make a difference and you're enough. It doesn't have to be the car. Like, it doesn't have to be owning the house. Even though I'm in real estate, I tell people all the time, not everybody has to own a house. That's not everybody's dream. It's not everybody's path. It's okay. You're not a failure because you don't do the traditional milestones, right? Because you don't have the big expensive toys. Just remember that you're enough, and what you choose to do with this life, it's totally up to you. Like, everything is a decision that you can decide. You can decide how you look at things. You can decide how you perceive it. So many people, especially entrepreneurs, they come to me and they go, well, I'm overwhelmed, I'm burned out, I'm stressed. And I just give them that little reminder of stress isn't even real. Stress is just our mental view of what is happening in the moment and how we're choosing to give it meaning. And if we became aware and said, you know what, I'm choosing to look at this for what it is and relabel it, reframe it, rename it, accept it for what it is, accept the person that we're labeling as the stressor, accept them for where they're at and know they're doing the best they can. Oh my gosh, the amount of overwhelm and stress people can eliminate from their life would be amazing. They don't even have to earn any more money.
Exactly, right.
They would be happier. Just in recognizing when that feeling creeps up, they need to recognize, hey, stress isn't even real. This is just my mental capacity labeling it this way right now. How can I reframe this? That's all they got to do. And they will have better days.
Yeah, that's a whole class. But no, this has been lovely. I truly appreciate it. Let us know where we can reach you online if anybody wants to connect, social media handles, website, and where we can find your programs as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I have pretty much everything is my social media is my name. So it's Kirstine Openshaw. And I'm sure you'll probably have it written down somewhere so people can spell it right.
Absolutely,
And then my podcast is Cuppa with K, which is CUPPA with WITHK.com. And then from there, I have a link at the bottom for coaching courses and programs that they're absolutely welcome. They can reach out to me on any of them and I'll help.
All right, guys, make sure you reach out to Kirstine and learn a little bit more about how she can help you transform not only your business, but your life. Like, this is great information that she shared. All right, Kirstine, thank you so much once again. I truly appreciate you and look forward to having you back soon.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you for having me.